Well, hello there ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode number 12 of my Transport Fever series, White Valley. Today we're in the village of Spalding because Spalding is about to be connected up. We're going to be continuing on with public transport in this episode, and we're going to connect this town up to Southgate, which has recently been connected up to a railway, which I have gone ahead and it's doing relatively mediocre, to say the least, and it can do better, and that's why I'm going to go ahead and try and make Southgate, the end of the line, which also connects up to Bangor and Hampstead, more of an important station. So we're going to start off with just a basic bus route to bring, because I don't feel Spalding is justified in terms of having a railway station over there, plus it's a bit mountainous, so I'm going to leave it for the time being. And I'm going to have a bus coming into Southgate which has about double the population anyway, and then that can hopefully get the Southgate end of the railway a bit more busy. Now I sort of made a little bit of a, it's not a mistake necessarily, but the frequency isn't very high on the line right now, so the line maybe isn't doing as well in profits as it should be. But one thing I've done is I've disconnected the bus which goes from Bangor to Hampstead. So this means now that the tram, which as you can see is mental, like 116 want to go to Richmond Road. I'm guessing this here is Richmond Road. Yeah, that's insane. That is actually, I've never seen a tram stop so busy in my entirety. I think we might need to add one or two more trams onto here then actually. We're just wanting to connect this town up better to the railway station. That's what we've done with the tram anyway, so I think just the trains aren't frequent enough. Right now there's 119 people want to go to Hampstead, which fortunately these trains are quite big, they can handle that without too much difficulty, but it's just the frequency. And we're going to go ahead and look at the profit margins of the trains which I built in the last episodes. So the Burnham Hampstead, that's not a new line, but it's an altered line and it's not doing very well. It's on a loss, so I think there's going to be a change being made there quite shortly in terms of trains, just because the trains are not working out, and I have imported a lot more mods. As we can see, we've got many more stations, this nice new station which looks pretty cool, a lot of mods we've got into here, but we really need to just be moving to multi-units now because those old sort of trains are not really going to work too well. We've also gone ahead and implemented a new line from Bawtry via Portishead, which isn't actually connected up. That's an issue. Big issue that. I was wondering why this line wasn't doing very well in profits. We've also gone ahead and created this line here as well, which basically will go ahead and help serve the town of Portishead, and we'll connect it up down to Chorley, which is now a 3-platform station as well. Got the orange line and the original blue line, which is now, and as I said, the Burnham to Hampstead. It's now in the profit, which is strange, but I think it needs a look at, let's put it that way. So we're doing quite well in terms of that. And the trains are, I mean, the Hampstead Southgate, this green line here, it's struggling, but it's because the frequency is at 5 minutes, it's not great. On the other end though, the Hampstead to Henson line is doing quite well. As we can see, it's on 2.46 million and the trains are all relatively full and they're not clogged up anymore. I managed to resolve that issue and all is good there. Alright, so let's get this bus route though into play. So if we come up here to Southgate, I've already created the route actually, so if we go ahead and have a look here, you can see the black route. So it goes via 2 other stops in Southgate, and then it does a small circle, I guess you could say, in Spalding there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a bus depot just out of town here, and then we're going to add in some new buses. Now, we have actually had quite a few new unlocks. Again, I'm still playing the game on a slower speed. These are our new buses, the intercity buses. These are going to be very good because they can pick up a lot of speed in between towns. I mean, 81 miles per hour is a lot. I don't want buses to be going 81 miles per hour, but they can, and knowing this game, they probably will go up to that, so that's really good. So we're going to buy 4 of these. That means they can get around the place much faster, which is great. And I think the old capacity, or the maximum capacity we've got on previous routes is Some of them are at 60, because I noticed some buses or some routes are using the newer city bus 2s, whereas some of them are still using the old Sauer DUK5s. The Sauer DUK5s have a capacity of 28, I believe, and the city bus 2s have a capacity of 60, so it's a bit hit and miss, I guess you could say there. Right, what I'm thinking of doing as well is doing a spontaneous buy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add an extra train onto the line here, which goes in between Southgate and the town of Hampstead. Currently we've got these 3-car times 3 sets, so it's basically 3 trains joined together. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to confuse things, and I'm going to put a 2 3-car set onto there, so it's a slightly smaller capacity, but it's the same kind of train and should fit on there nicely. So let's stick that on there, and that'll hopefully improve that frequency that little bit, which is, as I again say, the issue, because we've got plenty of people waiting here, but the trains are just so irregular that it's causing us quite a bit of a problem. We can see here the train that's left the town of Hampstead has got 135 people, so I really don't think it'll be too long until this route is actually in the profit, and there we go, it's already in the profit, which is great to see. So with that done now, we are not totally done here, because I want to go ahead and have a look at the various bus routes which we have up in this part of the world. So we've got a bus which comes into Portishead. We have a bus that currently goes down out to Chorley, which I kind of want to remove, and I want to get a tram going in and around Portishead. We've currently got buses that go from Bawtree and Portishead down to Hampstead, which I'm going to keep because I've not got a railway line directly into Hampstead. I don't really feel there's much point in that right now. One, because Hampstead train station is extremely busy already as it is, and two, I think the buses are meeting demand relatively well. I mean, at least on the Bawtree side of things anyway, we've not got that many people waiting at stops. In terms of in Portishead, maybe that's a little bit of a different story here. It is really a different story actually, but they're also on the old buses still. So that's something which we can go ahead and change up now. So I could go for intercity buses, I think that's what I'll do, and we'll get them in that awful mustard colour. And let's replace now. That's costing 20 mil, but that's going to be a huge capacity upgrade, which I'm very much looking forward to. And that means we also don't have to delete that bus route anytime soon. The bus route I do want to delete though is the one which goes from Chorley to Portishead, because there's no need for it anymore because there's a train. So we can go ahead and sell that route and then delete that route, and that is now another bus route disappeared. However, Portishead is a big town and I can feel it could do with its own tram, so that's what I'm going to go ahead and create. So let me go ahead and add in 1 or 2 extra roads here, there and everywhere. I want to just have a small road coming out and down to there like so. So let's go ahead and do this properly, because in the last episode I don't think I really did this the best. I want to go for tram tracks, yes, electric actually, and then I want to go for bus lanes, yes. So we're going to have down here, if you will, a small turning area, and then what it's going to do is it's going to make its way through the town. So you're going to come along this main street here, you're going to come up here. Now you're partially sharing the route actually with the bus which goes along to Hampstead, however that's not much of an issue. We'll just have you weaving through the streets, to be honest. That's really what I want to do. I just want to serve as much of the town as possible. So I'll have you going along there like so, and there like so. And then we're just going to have you come down here, wrap you around here like so. And then into here, and that's where it is going to end. Now, I don't really want to go for a loop. I've never been a fan of a loop. I do like a point-to-point myself. So what we're going to do is we're just going to have a turning bay, ideally here. If we can make one like that, and then I want to downgrade this section in the middle here. So if we can go ahead and select no and no upgrades, or essentially downgrade that, and there we go, so that works out nicely. Alright, so let's get this route into action here. So let's have a look and see what bus stop we've got. Now, we've got a lot of new unlocks there, and some very good unlocks at that. The Citadis 302 is amazing tram, I know that, so I'm very much looking forward to implementing that. So we can have the tram stop at that bus stop there, I'm happy for that. Then we can have the tram stop in there, the tram stop up this end here. Tram can stop about there, the tram can stop in there, I would say. And then we can have finally the tram stop about there. So it's going to serve the town hopefully really, really well. If we're looking at the bus so far, it serves part of the town not too bad actually, but I think this is just going to go to the next level. So let's go via Mill Road, sorry, is the only stop they actually share. So it's not a bad thing at all. Wrapping around the town and into here. Once again, that is another awful colour which we can hardly see, so let's go for that colour there. Back via Victoria Road, Church Lane, Chester Road, Queen's Road, The Grove, Mill Road, and then back to Park Road like that. So you can really see now that the town should be much better served. Again, there are one or two areas which are not very well served at all, but that'll probably come as the town grows a little bit more. Right, so this is the TR for Portish Heads, like so. And that is that. So, let's go ahead and get some trams on the go here. Again, I don't know which tram I'm going to go for, because we have just got some new trams, which can carry up to 60 people, but to get a tram with 60 people on it, I don't know how realistic that is going to be. So I'm just thinking, is it worth it? Because that's 700k, whereas that's only 400k. But there's an 18 seat difference. Top speed doesn't really matter in this case, so what I think we're going to do, I think we're just going to rock with the smaller Cobras for the time being, because I can't really see the needs. But what we are going to do is we're going to go for 6 trams instead. I think that would be just a slightly better idea in this case, just because Portishead has got a large population and it's always been quite well served. It's got multiple, or it had multiple bus routes, it's still got a bus route, and it's got a train line coming to it now. Both from very big towns, so I think it is justified that we have quite a large tram setup going here. Right, so that's the trams out and onto the move now, which is good, and we are also getting quite a few people waiting here at this railway station. This train here's got 42 people on it heading up to Bawtree, which is very, very nice indeed. So that is that, and this area sort of sorted out a little bit better. I want to now turn my attention around to Burnham and Telscombe, because this is the area which I think is going to need a little bit of work. So what I'm thinking about doing is breaking up the Crimson Line or modifying it, because it's just a little bit... It's not doing too bad, but at the same time I think that it's outgrown itself. I mean, it does have 4 trains on it. And all in all, it's not doing too bad actually, but I just think that the demand between different towns is different. And that's the real issue we have here. So, Burnham for example, now, I want to connect Burnham up to other towns really, so Somerton and Dereham, I think is how you pronounce it. I want to connect those up, and Crowland as well. How are we going to connect these towns up long term? Is it going to be via bus or is it going to be via train? If it is via train, I would maybe like to do a line from Telscombe to connect up all 3 towns, because that's quite possible. But I also want to help grow Burnham. I mean, Burnham I suppose will have 3 trains coming into it anyway. Currently, right now, it's got the train which goes outwards to Chorley. It currently has the train coming in from Hetton, way over there, and then it's got the train looping round to Telscombe. What I'm thinking of is cutting the Hetton to Burnham part of the Crimson Line out, and then having the remainder Burnham through Telscombe to Maidstone, and then on to Coburn, that be sort of a separate line. Or even break it up even further and do Hetton to Burnham, and then do Burnham to Maidstone, and then do Maidstone down to Kendal, because that would also get another town into operation. So let's actually work towards that. Now, this is where the issue is. Coburn. Now, Coburn I think is a really nice town, and it does not too bad. However, the real logistical issue is where the railways are. Now, we've got a goods railway line, which brings in fuel, and hopefully over time will bring in various other different goods into the town. If we look at the town itself, we can see that it's got 77% fuel and 82% in terms of construction materials, which is one of the highest figures in terms of materials I've ever seen. So it's doing very well on that front. However, it's just the location. I essentially now need this railway line to cross over so it can come over here to Kendal, which is going to be logistically very, very challenging. So let's see what we can do here. It can follow this railway line out. That's what I'm probably thinking it's going to have to do, and then loop over, because there's no way I can get a bridge going over this. So if we have you slowly coming out like this, which works out not too bad, to be fair. I don't need to use both platforms, or will I? Suppose I will if this is a through station. If this isn't a terminating station, then I will. Then what we can do is we can probably easily have you come along here. We can't actually, see that's an issue. Have you go to there at least. This is where the challenge is going to be, and I'm going to have to pause the game because this is a tram route and that could cause problems. So have you come along to here. Like so, and then we need you to cut across. Now that is going to be very slow and very inefficient, if you will, but I think it's sort of, this is the only way I'm really going to get this to work. And whereabouts is Kendal? Kendal's all the way over there, so we're going to have this like branch off and come across here. Like so, so that works, it's just not the most efficient. Can we get this double lines down here though? That's the real question. Because this is going to be very, very close to this tunnel, and also we've got a level crossing here, which they can always be problematic. Now this is going to be my next issue, getting this reconnected. So I want to connect from there into there, but that doesn't want to work. So we have to delete that whole thing there, and that's also deleted 2 stops as well, which causes me even more issues. That can work like that, but there's too much slope supposedly, which I don't really agree in myself. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of that there very quickly, then we're going to retrack that up there. I'm just going to rebuild I'm going to have to rebuild the roads here, so see, this is a problem. If you are actually seeing too much slope, and this can be a real big issue. Too much slope, too much slope. Right, what I'm going to do very quickly is I'm going to get rid of those signals. And we're going to try this once more. If not, I'm going to have to adopt some form of other tactic here, which I don't really know what I will go for, to be honest. I think it's too much slope on the approach here, actually. I think that's the biggest issue. So what happens if we were to go, for example, something like that? Once again, too much slope. You can see it in the railway line here. There is, just because this is on a slope. So my other option is to build a tunnel, which I don't think that's somewhat going to go down too well at all, in fact. This is annoying, this is annoying. We had this issue over here as well. We've got a tunnel going under the railway lines. It's just because it's, again, it's the difficult terrain that surrounds this village and the location of the railway stations. It's not like I can really put railway stations elsewhere because we're in a valley here. And again, this is me sort of poorly, I guess, pre-planning about where I'm going to put the stations. Again, I probably should have pre-built them first. So there's no way we can get anything coming across here. Not at that part anyway. Not at that part anyway. Any other parts? Not really, sadly. I'm just getting more and more issues here. And then we're also getting too close to tunnels as well. Right, I'm going to have to go under. I think that's really it. I'm going to have to go under. So, let's go down instead. And let's see if we can go under. If we can go under successfully, then I'll happily do it. Let's have a look at that. So, can we bring you up anymore? That's not too deep there, actually. And then if we have you come back up. I don't think we can come back up that sharply though. Yeah, that's my only concern. So if we go ahead and delete even more of this, which again is something I really don't want to do, but I'm going to have to do. That works out there. So it's really not pretty by any means, but it does work and it will allow the line to continue. In terms of houses up here, houses can continue if they want to. I could build another road along here, but I'm not really that fussed about it. But we do have one or two, I guess, more issues which we need to deal with, which is reconnecting this end here. So that works out nicely like so. So that line should actually be working again. So if we go back into tram view, now we should have Coburn. You should be a light blue, but I don't see you really working, unfortunately. So if we respeed you up, the tram line doesn't reappear, does it? And it's also not got a frequency timer, which means it's broken, so cannot connect all the stations. So main road is about to get deleted, and then hopefully the line should reappear. So there we go, perfecto. So it looks like it is still being able to run without any difficulties. And okay, yeah, it works out not too bad actually. It's just there's no stop up this end of town, but I mean, does there really need to be right now? I would argue that there doesn't. So I think this is working out okay. I think this will work going forward anyway. So that's that issue resolved. So that means we can continue on this line down to Kendall. Now the problem is with Kendall is the way the station is. I can go ahead and change it, but it's the angle that it's sitting at. So right now we only need access to one platform, which is good. So we're going to go ahead and make hopefully a relatively easy bend coming out of here. Now my problem is that this hill is extremely steep, so we're going to have tunnels. Someone left a comment recently which is very reassuring, that build lots of tunnels and bridges if you need to, because you want, as much as things don't look pretty, railway lines themselves don't look pretty in real life, and I was like, that's very, very true. Just build bridges and tunnels where necessary, because it's the trains that are the priority, not necessarily the scenery. So I'm happy to go ahead, and that's just very reassuring. I don't want to build unrealistic bridges and stuff like that. That's something I definitely don't want to do, but at the same time, there needs to be that balance. And I guess sometimes I've not really been finding it, because I've been like having trains going a totally different route unnecessarily, so you could argue that I've sort of lost my priorities there. Anyway, let's rebuild this road. Let's make it a country road though, because that's what it formerly was. Have you going over there, and then have you coming down there. In saying that, I still need to double this up, so that's going to be the interesting part. I really do like this bridge coming out here actually, so that doubles up nicely. And then coming along here, this is where we're going to start to have a little bit more expense, just because we've got a few tunnels coming down here. So this section here, I mean, doubling up line is really not actually that expensive. I almost think it's going to cost me absolute bank, but then it really doesn't. So that part's not too bad, 159k. And then the final approach, okay, the tunnel does cost a bit more, but compared to the amount of money I've got, I'm doing not too bad at all. And then that will just merge in. And this is Kendall Town, which I could definitely see it having its own tram, because it's a relatively well-off town as well, actually. Not really, I guess, actually. It looks relatively big, but I think just because it's dense and in a circle. Right, with that done then, that gives us lots of new options, which is good. So, first of all, we're just going to signal up the line. One thing I've had for a long time, and you've probably seen me, is I've got all these signals, but I always go for the default game one. I don't know why. It must have been a signal pack I implemented, and not really got too much use of that mod, to be fair. I don't really know the difference of different kinds of signals myself, though, to be honest, so that's sort of why I don't think I've really gone for the different kinds of signals too much anyway. But this is exciting. This is another town, and this is also close to coal and one or two various different goods factories. There's quite a lot of factories out in this part of the world, actually. Farms, interestingly, as well, so this is definitely an opportunity to finally move into the agriculture and food sector anyway. The real issue we're going to have with this line though is this junction here. So we need to have a light there, and we need to have a light there, and we need to have a light there, and we need to have a light there. So that's all good. So if you need to stop, you will stop there, which is good. And yeah, that works out okay. Not really too happy with how this area looks right now, more in particularly this line and yeah, it's not the prettiest, is it? So, anywho, we'll leave that for the time being. So let's go ahead and make these larger changes now. So, what is going on in Hetton? What is the big deal here? So is it for the tram? Interestingly, actually, yeah, I think the tram could definitely do with increased capacity, and it's also the bus out to Telscombe, which is some distance away. Interestingly, the train also runs that route as well, so that, I mean, that's a bus which is sort of invalid and I could see us getting rid of quite shortly. So that's definitely an option as well. One thing I want to check, while I clicked on that fuel train, I just want to see how my train profits are doing. So Hetton fuel is still doing very, very bad, which I'm disappointed in. Very bad, in fact. It could definitely do with losing one of those trains, but the Coburn fuel is in the profit, which is good. I realise when I'm going to use the Class 47, that's going to be on some form of train, which is pulling goods. Not going to be passenger train, because passenger trains, we're sort of just reverting to multi-units now. Right, so let's start to break up the Crimson Express. So let's pause this game, and let's go ahead and do our first new line, which is going to go here from Kendal. We're going to work backwards here. Kendal into Coburn, and then into... Maidstone's going to be a hub, because it's a big station as it is. Cannot connect all stations, that's interesting. Yeah, because I selected the wrong station, that's why. Let's get rid of you, and let's add in after Kendal the passenger station, not the goods station. So that works out nicely. So this is going to be the... What comes first? K or M? K comes first. I actually had to think about that there. Probably... It should be K. K to Maidstone. I'm dyslexic, by the way, so that's an awful excuse, but there you go. Right, so the issue we are having is that there's no way to change platforms over here. So what platform are you going to go into? I don't really know which one you're going to go into right now, to be fair, but we'll have a junction... Nah, see, this is going to be an issue. Can we have you... This is a really bad place to have it. It's going to have to be in the tunnel. Is there one there already? No, there's not. So difficult to see, that's the problem. There we go, right, so that should funnel them into one side. Which, that being the incorrect side, I think, here. So let me click on this station, terminals, and Maidstone is going into 3. I want Maidstone to go into 4. Do I? No, I want Maidstone to go into 1. Yeah, so that's fine, and then when it comes out this end, it should be on both sides of the track, which it is, which is good. Right, okay, so that's that set up, that line is ready to go, it just needs trains. So let's look at the Crimson line now, because we're going to be removing stations. So, we're removing Coburn first of all. So that's that chopped off, and let's chop off Maidstone as well. So then we've got from Maidstone to Burnham, I want to keep that as a line. So let's just do the easy thing and cut off Hetton Bayside. And that now becomes, the Crimson Express is a little bit different. So you're going to be the T. And you're going from Burnham to Maidstone, which works out nicely. And then we need to create a third new line, which is going to go from here, Burnham, down to Hetton Bayside. Which this railway station hasn't become a big deal like I want it to. But we've also not gone down this end yet, so wait till that happens. Wait till we maybe build a railway line all the way down to the bottom here and to these stations, or these towns down this end of the map, because again, I've just not got to that part of the map yet. So you're the T, Burnham, Hetton, like so, and that is good for operations. Right, so with that done, the next thing we need to do is actually work out platform allocations. So the first thing I'm actually going to do is change the Burnham Hetton colour because I cannot see it. So you'll be a dark green. So you guys are going to use a platform. You can use... Let me redo that because that was dire. Let's go for that there. So let me add in a signal before I forget as well and have many traffic problems. So you're going to use that platform there, which is good. So that's that line set up because the other end should be all good to go. Then we've got the Crimson line, which unfortunately is not going to be able to have a junction straight away. You're going to have a junction probably on this corner here. From that line out to that line like so. And that splits you guys up. Now you can wait before the crossroads. I think that's probably the best place for you to wait. And you go in and use that platform there, which is grand. And that solves that problem. You guys are not using the same platform. Then if we come over to Maidstone, I think you guys are using separate platforms. You're using the left one, and it looks like the Coburn Kendall line is using the right one. So that's all that good to go, which is great. So the next thing we need to do is work on... What do we need to do here? Get trains on the go. So first of all, we need to get all the red trains into the appropriate sector. That's what we need to do. So we're going to speed this game up quite drastically, because I need to work out where all these trains are and if they're on the correct section of line. So let me go ahead and... You're at Burnham, you're at Telscombe, and you're at Maidstone. So most of them actually should be in the correct place. So you are... Let me go to you. So you are not on the correct section of line yet. You are on the correct section of line, which is great. You are on the correct section of line, which is great. And then you are also on the correct section of line, which is great. So it's just train number 7 we're waiting on now, which it's waiting for a free path. I'm guessing there's a train already in at the station, or maybe not. So that's you rolling on. Are you on the correct platform? No, you're not, and that could be an issue. So, but you're just going to continue on there, and that is you, so you're just not stopping there, so you're on your way to Telscombe. So that's all those trains good and into action and on the correct lines, which is great. So finally, to finish off this episode, we're going to deal with the remaining 2 lines which are trainless. So right now, obviously, we need to start off with Burnham to Hetton. Maybe isn't obvious, but let's see what we've got here. So I've been trying out different trains, and I reckon because these 2 towns are really big, they're going to need relatively large trains, I would say. So I'm going to go for a Metroliner, again a different kind of train. And, oh, I could go with one of these actually. I mean, that's too big, but that's way too big in terms of passenger numbers. I want to go again and have a decent frequency, but that costs a lot of money as well. What about TGVs? They cost a lot of money too. What about the RE trains? It's a bit more up my street, definitely, but it doesn't go very fast. What about the Speed Stance Express? These I can get on board with much better actually, so what about that? So that is quite expensive. So's that, mind you. What's the difference between these 2? Nothing really. Right, we're gonna go for one of these bad boys, or a few of these bad boys. But then at the same time the cost. Oh, this is difficult. This is difficult. What am I gonna go for? What about these REs again? I mean, what about the duplex? The duplex could throw something into the equation. That's still 40 million. TGVs, 44 million. These are too small. Metroliners, I think, are actually my best bet here. So these are not ideal, but I'm going to go for 3 of... Or we'll start off with 2 of these. So 2 of you guys is hopefully going to be enough. Is that a triple bendy bus? It is as well. Interesting. Right, so we've got 2 of you guys. You guys are going to be operating on this line at 120 miles per hour. It isn't too bad. We're going to be going from Burnham, so T Burnham to Hetton. So off you guys go. So good luck on your future voyages. And then finally our other section, which is the Kendall branch, if you will. So this should also yield a lot more profit going down the line. That's really another reason why I'm doing it here. So let me... Ooh. We've not sorted this end of the line, I don't think. Thank you, game, thank you. Obviously this is starting to get a bit of an issue in terms of freight. I know why there is an issue. It's because this is classified as the end of the line here. There we go, so that should work out nicely, and there we go, so that resolves that issue there, no problem. Right, so let's have the depot just along here, I would say. Let's go ahead and build you like that. And let's create the depot into trains, into depot, and is that going to fit? No, it's not going to fit, so we will build you over there like that. Now let's go ahead and do that, which again is not ideal, but it will do. So let's go ahead and choose trains for here. Again, I'm up for something different again. Those are very, very old, I remember that. I could look at various trains right now, to be honest. I think I'm really liking these though, the Class X trains by SNCF. I think I might go for some of these. Because Kendall's a new town, plus there's also a longer distance between the towns, I think I'm going to go for like 3 of these. I mean, they only cost 13 million. And they can carry a decent amount, so I'm going to go for 4 of those actually, and you're going to get set onto the Kendall Maidstone line, which off you guys go. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen, that is pretty much my upgrading done. I realise how aggressive this corner must be now actually. I'm just having a look at it and it's not pretty at all, but it's an approach to a railway station anyway, so it's not going to be that great. The section to Maidstone's wonderful, so I'm happy about that anyway. But that's us pretty much done in terms of passenger changes. Actually, I'm now a bit concerned though, because I think there's a blockage, which there is, so I'm going to resolve that off camera, but that's the end of this episode. Before I end this episode, I just want to look at year-on-year profits. Varying because I've spent a lot, but overall I think we're doing quite well. In terms of the trains right now, it's a very mixed picture just because a lot of them are new, but for example, the Hampstead South Gates, which we focused on at the start of the episodes, is up to 5 million. Then we've also got the Bawtry Chorley, that is doing very well at 3.5 million, so all in all, it's still a mixture, but I think we're leaning in the right direction, to say the least anyway. Right, so with that done, I am going to solve this issue and wrap this episode up here. So ladies and gentlemen, please, please, please leave a like rating. It is very, very much appreciated. If you could go ahead and jump down into the comment section below and just give me some suggestions for the next episode. I'll probably have a wee bit of a break between this and the next 2 episodes recording. This year's will be back in 6 days time because in 3 days you get another Airline Tycoon episodes. And that's all for this video. So thank you very much for watching. My name is Bigfoot and I'm out.